Bernie Sanders is in Minnesota. He's there with Representative Ellison, the 5th District of Minnesota. This is what we were talking about earlier. When you talk about the voice of the people, the masses, we the people, 15,000 people showed up. 20,000 people showed up to St. Paul River Center. 5,000 had to go into an overflow. 15,000 filled the room to capacity. And one thing, a really good something that Keith Ellison said that I liked, that I think is very, very true, that you don't have to drag Bernie Sanders into a fight. He leads the fight. And that's one of the biggest differences that we're seeing emerge between the two candidates. So in Minnesota, he's had this record turnout in the dead of winter, 15,000 people inside, 5,000 in an overflow room. People are showing up all over the country for Bernie Sanders, marches all over the country last week for Bernie Sanders. Just a very strong presence. And the establishment is trying to tell us that he doesn't stand a chance. It really doesn't add up, right? This is part of the same coalition that propelled President Obama into the White House, Senator Obama into the White House, right? It is the progressive movement. And this is something people really don't understand, is that, this energy is not for just a Democrat. This energy can be completely separated from the Democratic Party. And that's why the Democratic establishment is losing their minds. For the last 30 plus years, the Democratic establishment has gotten closer and closer and closer to all of the things that are antithetical to progressives. And now they want to squash this energy around Bernie Sanders because they can't control that energy, because that energy, that progressive energy that shows up in the dead of winter, 15,000 people, 20,000 people trying to get into a 15,000 seat capacity building for Bernie Sanders. And they're trying to tell us that this is not the momentum, that he cannot win. They're trying to tell us that because they can't control the progressive movement. This is, and I see like 1,000 things just went through my head right there. If you look online at all of the negativity that's thrown towards people who tend to support Bernie Sanders, and you look back at 2008, this is some of the same rhetoric, some of the same people who threw the same hatred towards President Obama, saying that he can't win in a general election, saying that it's just an idealistic movement and it's not realistic. Paul Krugman, whatever the hell you want to call him, said some of the same things about President Obama that he's saying about Bernie Sanders right now. No, Bernie Sanders is not President Obama. He's actually more progressive than President Obama. And that's what's driving Debbie Wasserman Schultz and all of the rest of the Democratic establishment, the Democratic black elite, all of the people who are power players. They are going crazy because how many people are showing up to Hillary Clinton rallies right now? What, maybe 5,000, 7,000. I'm sure she had a good day somewhere where she probably had 15,000. But Bernie Sanders, hang on, let me start that sentence again, because it's not just Bernie Sanders. Progressivism, that is what pulls 20,000 people out in Minnesota in the dead of winter. That's what gets 7,000 people in Alabama, the reddest of red states. It's progressivism. It's because people really believe in the progressive values to move America forward, and they've been placated long enough, they've been patient long enough, and they've been waiting on a real progressive to come. Every 8 years, every 4 years, 8 years, we look for a real progressive. And it's not that we're waiting on some type of messiah, it's that we're just waiting for this damn party to be what it at least used to be. And this is the weird world in which we live. God, that was a lot of W's. Weird world in which we live. We live in the world where Bernie Sanders is considered a radical when in actuality, he's probably the most conservative person running right now because he's hearkening back to a time when America was actually progressive. The idiots that are running on the right, they are extremists. They are radicals. They are not left radicals. They are just right-wing radicals. They want to move us further down the drain of trickle-down economics. They want to further our militaristic exploits. They are the radicals. And somehow we've got this conflated in our minds in America that being radical is a left-leaning, kumbaya type of tree-hugging liberal. No, radicalism is further exposing us to global factors without any protection. Radicalism is saying labor doesn't mean anything. Let's gut all of the labor unions and leave individual workers exposed to the power of major corporations. Radicalism is saying that we need to do more in the Middle East. We need to be more interventionist. We need to put more troops on the ground. That is radicalism. Even what we're doing, and I have to parse this very, very clearly, and I want you to hear this argument very clearly. Even what we are currently doing is not truly conservative. The trajectory that we've been on for the last 35 years has been a trajectory of right-wing radicalism. And President Obama, God bless him, love him, but President Obama has not done enough to shift us back to some fundamental values that made America great. And when I say made America great, I am fully aware that I'm talking about a time in which Black people could not participate in this greatness. So now we have an opportunity in America to say, let's redo the greatness that Black people were left out of in the first place and make it accessible to everybody. Now, how good would that shit be? How good would that be if the New Deal, the new Deal would actually be something that everybody can benefit from? Right. I mean, and I only throw that out there for all of these intentionally obtuse, mindless drones who see white supremacy in everything and can't even watch the damn Walking Dead because of the white supremacist overtones in that show. Right. I'm talking about people like that. Right. But it's not that I am hearkening back to a time that was unrealistic. I'm hearkening back to a time that was very successful for the average middle class white American. We can fix that to be very successful today for the average middle class and working class American, regardless of race. And so with that in mind, you have to understand that Bernie Sanders is not the radical in this fight. Bernie Sanders is really the conservative in this fight because he's trying to get us back to a time where we were actually successful. Let me take this caller. Caller, you're live on the air.